Well, good morning and welcome to another Learn to Fish video. We're at Suffolk Water Park today and I'm really looking forward to this one because we're going to give you a few tips on surface fishing for carp. Now, catching carp off the top, without a doubt, is my favourite way to catch them. It's really exciting, it's really active, and it's proper heart in the mouth stuff. So this lake's got plenty of carp of all sizes in it. We should have a good day's sport here. It's quite overcast this morning, but there's a few carp coming up already. It's supposed to get sunny later. I had a few seagulls here when I first put some biscuits out. But if you just put a few biscuits through the swim, when there's ducks and seagulls, you can feed them off. So the birds have disappeared. I can see a few carp over my shoulder taking the odd biscuit. So let's get that rod set up and see if we can catch a carp straight away. I didn't think it was going to take long. Looking at how many fish were feeding in front of me, it's just a case of little and often trickling the dog biscuits out there and getting them to slip up and take the one that's attached to your rod. So they're not massive carp in here, but they're great sport. On a day like today, we just want plenty of bites and a bit of action to show you how to catch them off the top. There we go, a rather frisky little fully scaled mirror. Nice to get a bite nice and quick, but we'll get this fella back. The key to getting those bites is a little and often feeding campaign. Don't put loads of biscuits in, just keep trickling a few through the swim. So he's fairly lively, he's ready to go back. Let's show you what floaters I'm using and show you how I feed the swim. Well, the floaters that I use couldn't be much simpler. I've got the Sticky Baits krill floaters. But one great tip, I'll just put a few in the bucket here. Add a bit of the cap oil to them. I've got a little bit left in this tub that I'm going to use up first. You don't need very much, and that does two things. It adds a little bit more attraction to the floaters, and another thing it does, because it's an oil-based liquid, if there is a little bit of a ripple on the lake, it will flatten off the surface slightly, so you can see what's going on. You can see the fish taking the biscuits easier, and more importantly, you can see your hook bait easier. So by adding a little bit of cap oil, mixing them all up, give them that boost of attraction and it'll help you see what's going on in your swim. So let's get back down there. Let's trickle some biscuits out in the swim and I'll show you how I feed the swim and what swim I choose when I'm floater fishing. So the key to surface fishing is a bit like a match angler. Feed little and often. Don't put loads of biscuits in the swim at once. You want the carp competing for them out there. And if you can hold the carp there with as little biscuits as possible, they're always that bit closer to your hook bait. So, and another tip is, with a lot of carp fishing, we always tell you to follow the wind, fish on the end of big winds. With surface fishing, I do the opposite. I make sure the wind is on my back, then I can use the wind to drift the floaters across the lake and search out for the carp. So rather than spotting at distance and trying to get them biscuits out in the middle if the carp are in the middle, use the wind to help you, drift the biscuits into place, be stealthy, be quiet, and it'll get you more bites. It's a bit better. Using the Corda Interceptor surface floats today, and I don't know if you saw that bite, but I really do trust their hooking capabilities. You get so many near misses on the surface, but if that carp actually grabs the hook bait, there's no mistaking it, there'll be a big splash, the float will pull forward, the line will pull tight, and you'll know when one's on the end. So this one feels a little bit bigger than the first one. Let's see if we can get it in the net and have a look at it. Got a little bit of ghosty in him or something. He's a sort of funny colour. Well, he's only a little fella, this one, so I've unhooked him in the net. I'm going to slip him straight back. Let's see if we can get something a bit bigger. There are lots of carp still feeding out there, but before I cast back out, I want to talk a little bit more about these interceptor floats and why I like them so much. So it's not just the fact that they're really good for hooking the fish. You can cast them long distances, but they're not just great for long distance surface fishing. You can fish them at any range. But the most important thing I feel is when you get the fish feeding, cast well past the fish so you don't spook them by plopping the float amongst them, and then slowly retrieve the float into the feeding fish. So the advantage of them is you can cast past the fish, pull them into the fish, and get a bite without scaring them. Well, when it comes to playing carp when you're surface fishing, you have to be a little bit more careful because naturally you're on lighter hook links, smaller hooks, and having a balanced setup will help you land more fish. You don't want a great big heavy 3.5 pound Tesco carp rod. You want something a little bit more forgiving, so you don't snap them hook links, you don't pull those small hook links out. So let's get this carp in and let's talk a little bit more about the setup that I'm using. Well, there we go. They might not be massive carp that we're catching today, but the aim of the game was to get plenty of bites on camera and teach you a little bit about surface fishing. But surface fishing does play a big part in my carp fishing. I've had some pretty big fish off the top. I've had fish to 51.5 off the surface, so it's not just a small fish tactic. You can target really big fish as well. So it's important to have balanced tackle, so we'll slip this back and I'll talk you through a little bit more about the rod and the reel and the line that I'm using today. Well, let's talk about the setup that I'm using today. I've actually got a new rod today. It's the first time out with this. It's the Kaizen Green floater rod. And it's a bit higher test curve than I've used for a lot of years. I normally use a rod of about 2 pound test curve, and this one's rated at 275. But recent years, I've had some bigger fish off the top. I'm fishing bigger venues where I want to cast these interceptor floats further out, so it'll suit my style of carp fishing. But equally, somewhere like I am today where the fish aren't massive, it's still great fun playing them. I'm not pulling those hooks out. It's got a nice soft tip section on it, which is really important. A different action to the type of carp rod you'd use for launching 3.5 ounce leads. And then on that rod, I've got a small fixed spool reel loaded with some 12 pound line. And that comes down to one of those interceptor floats that I talked about earlier. That's a 30 gram float. The 30 gram float covers nearly all my fishing, although I think I have got a 50 in there. For if it gets windy, I find it a little bit better when there's a bit of a ripple on the surface and I have to keep mending the line to keep the bow out of my line. The hook link is an 11 pound hook link. It's a low diameter hook link. And then that comes down to a size 8 mixer hook. And all I've done on there is a simple hair rig. I've got a krill pop-up, which is a similar colour to those floaters that I'm feeding. I've trimmed it up with a pair of scissors so that it looks like one of the floaters. And then they take that quite readily when it's mixed in amongst your free offerings. The reason I don't put a normal floater on there is I know that you can super glue them to the back of hooks and they do look absolutely perfect. But you only have to have 2 or 3 casts with them. They get soft when they're in the water and they just keep coming off the hook. So by using a whittled down pop-up, that hook bait will last me all day and I'll catch fish after fish on it. Well, it's brightened up now and the sun's well and truly out, and you can see I've got my Polaroid sunglasses on and they are a bit of a must-have for surface anglers. It'll take that surface glare off the water. You'll be able to see the carp a lot better and you can see them taking your hook bait a lot clearer. So it's almost like X-ray vision. It'll keep you one step ahead of the carp and it'll make sure you're getting your hook bait in the right place. What I've definitely noticed this afternoon is I had a little bit of a fine tune. I went from a size 8 hook to a size 10 and I trimmed up one of those krill pop-ups to make it a little bit smaller. I'm definitely getting more bites. So it's all that attention to detail, getting everything neat and tidy. If they are a little bit finicky, put a smaller hook on, put a lighter hook link on. It'll definitely make a difference in the long run. there, isn't he? Well, check that one out. He's pretty cool, that one. Another heavily scaled mirror and a bit bigger than the ones I was catching this morning. But I think I'm going to end on this fish, and hopefully that's give you a bit of an insight to how I surface fish for carp. It's a great method if you're strapped for time as well. If you've got a busy work life or a busy family life, you can get your carp fix in an early morning or an evening. You don't have to push a barrow full of carp gear around the lake as well. So get out this summer whilst the weather's nice, catch a few carp off the top. And one last thing is, if you want to kit yourself out properly, I'll put links to all the products in the description below to give you a helping hand.